A few years ago, I was speaking on bullying at two different educational conventions with one of our ministry leaders at Hope for the Heart. I'm going to call her Tori. I want you to hear this story because Tori had been a former school teacher, choir director. She disclosed the details of how bullying led her husband to leave his job as the coach of the school. She left, and that included her 16-year-old daughter, Jessica. She also left the school. Jessica's brush with bullying started honorably when she told the math teacher that two classmates had cheated on a test. Now let me tell you something about the teacher. When confronted, these desperate students turned on the teacher, alleging that she had trumped up the charges. So to gain credibility, the teacher divulged that Jessica had been an eyewitness to the cheating. She named her. Well, in naming Jessica, Tori felt this teacher had fed her to the wolves. That's what she said. Indeed, a feeding frenzy ensued because these two girls made it their personal mission to terrorize Jessica. They told the teacher and their friends that Jessica was the one who'd lied. In volleyball, the girls would spike the ball at Jessica's head. After being injured during one game, she couldn't play anymore for the rest of the year. Immediately, they said, she's just faking the injury to sabotage our whole team. After all, we know she's a liar. For weeks, Jessica was in tears, but she kept the problem from her parents, thinking that ignoring it would make it go away. Tori told me, I wish I could say that the terror lessened once my husband and I got involved, but it didn't. It was a torturous time for our entire family as we witnessed the truth of Proverbs 29:22 playing out before our eyes. An angry person stirs up conflict, and a hot-tempered person commits many sins. Well, before the year's end, Tori's husband, a coach at that school, changed jobs, and the family found a new school for Jessica. Thankfully, the new school provided a precious time of healing for everyone in the family. Even so, Tori says they'll never forget this difficult chapter in their lives, especially the terrible pain that bullies can inflict and the fallout when bullying is mishandled or ignored. I want to help explain why handling bullying effectively must be part of every teacher's skill set. The most comprehensive nationwide study on bullying ever conducted involved more than 15,000 students in grades 6 through 10. And they found that over 24% of the students reported being bullied during the school year. In addition, 8% had been bullied at least once during the week. So, what constitutes bullying, as opposed to everyday conflicts that are inevitable among kids? Bullying is any hostile, physical, psychological, or verbal activity that involves an imbalance of power and that is intended to harm, to induce fear, to create terror. Typically, bullying is not a one-time act, but rather repeated harassment. Unlike everyday squabbles between kids, bullying also involves unequal power between the bully, who's up here, and the bullied down here. Bullying is always intentional. It's often serious and involves a power-producing effect, an intentional desire of feeling important, feeling significant, feeling powerful. That's the goal. It never results in remorse. Bullying occurs with no desire to solve the problem and is always initiated to cause harm. Those who are bullied live with continual fear and even the expectation of future abuse. Unfortunately, they also risk becoming bullies. In other words, they can feel powerless and feel totally defeated, or they could become bullies simply to stop the bullying. I've observed in my 30-some-odd years of counseling that all bullies have been bullied at some point in their past. I want to repeat that. This is extremely important. Most people don't know this. All bullies have been bullied. And so they become bullies just to stop the pain. So let's look at certain traits of those who are bullied. It's important to recognize the signs of students who are likely to be targeted. These signs include wanting to miss school persistently, withdrawing from social activities, experiencing anxiety, fear, depression, extreme self-destructive behaviors at times. I'm talking about cutting, sometimes intentionally burning themselves. They are drawing disturbing pictures at times. Those who are targets receive threatening emails, feeling ashamed of their own race and religion, their language, whatever it may be, that might be a little different, or they may be looking at other perceived differences from their peers, and they begin to hate themselves for those inevitabilities. It's interesting that a book of the Bible, Job 17, says, "My spirit is broken. Surely mockers surround me. My eyes must dwell on their hostility." What a picture of what really is going on with what someone who is being bullied really feels. Well, we've looked at some of the characteristics of kids who are bullied and signs that they are being bullied. But let's look at the bullies themselves. What type of kids often bully others? Why do they do it? Well, here are some of the most common reasons kids bully. Number 1, to feel superior. Number 2, to get revenge. Number 3, to gain status. And number 4, to hurt the reputation of their victims. That makes them feel powerful, that they would have that much influence. Well, let's look at some of the most common cues that a young person is a bully. These include exhibiting overly aggressive attitudes and actions, sometimes wearing clothes or hats that indicate affiliation with a gang or a particular clique. Bullies often frequent websites that promote violence, supremacy, or aggression. They draw disturbing pictures or images. They initiate menacing phone calls, emails, text messages, social media, whatever they can use. They lack age-appropriate empathy. In fact, there's hardly any empathy for the pain that another person feels. Bullies delight in causing pain. They receive an emotional sense of significance and even gratification from abusing others. You know, like animals that sense a weaker animal and therefore can be ready to pounce. Instinctively, bullies are aware of the weakness or the hurt spirit of another person who's been hurt. Proverbs 17:22 says, "A crushed spirit dries up the bones." If bullying isn't stopped, it can devastate the life of a student, causing enormous emotional and psychological pain. Bullied students can develop low self-worth, even personality disorders like becoming paranoid, excessively paranoid, and a host of other problems that can follow them through their entire lives. Some who are unable to bear the pain and find the support they need tragically take their own lives. That's called bullycide. Suicide because of bullying. But bullying doesn't just hurt the student who's being bullied. It also poisons the heart of the child who's doing the bullying. For example, bullying often leads to criminal behavior. Listen to this. Nearly 60% of boys identified as bullies in grades 6 through 9 were convicted of at least one major crime by the age of 24, and 40% had 3 or more convictions. That's tragic. That's serious. So, how do you deter bullying in the classroom? Let's look at elements of an effective anti-bullying policy. Schools that practice the 3 vital R's are the most successful in deterring bullying. So let's look at each R. Rules. Number 1, rules. Students must know that teachers are in charge and that hurting other students will not be tolerated. They need to set and enforce these rules regarding bullying. Number 2, rights. Rights. Every student, everyone, has the right to not be hurt and to learn in a safe environment. And number 3, responsibility. All adults at school, including administrators, teachers, aides, even cafeteria staff, must be responsible for supervision. One of the best ways to stop bullying is to take away the audience. The most effective deterrent to bullying is when students are taught to be courageous enough to report it and not to take part when they see it occur. Every single school needs an anti-bullying policy. Having a proactive policy is far better than waiting until after bullying has become a problem that you have to deal with. Establish your policy before the beginning of the school semester. Get faculty and staff buy-in. Everybody needs to be a part of it and know that it's good and right. Have every team member sign, literally sign in writing, an anti-bullying pledge saying, "We, the faculty, agree to join together to stamp out bullying." It can be as simple as that. Discuss proactive bully blocking measures like eating lunch with a new or an excluded student. Another vital point is create a reporting system to inform and educate parents when bullying occurs. Require staff to report all bullying to the principal. Provide training on how to handle incidents of bullying when they arise. Be prepared to offer counseling to bullies, to bystanders, and to the bullied student. Work as a team to ensure a safe environment where students who report bullying are confident that the bullying will be quickly addressed and stopped, not ignored. Once your new policy is in place, literally post it visibly around your school. That means in classrooms, even in hallways, on bulletin boards. When the school year begins, create a positive dynamic in the classroom that takes the power away from the bully. Start by giving a copy of your anti-bullying policy to all parents and all students. Explain the policy in class. And when you do, be sure to discuss the difference between tattling and reporting bullying. Tattling is attempting to get someone in trouble, whereas reporting is attempting to get someone out of trouble. What a huge difference. For each grade, establish an age-appropriate anti-bullying curriculum. Anti-bullying curriculum will encourage students to, number one, treat everyone with dignity and respect. Number two, to understand the vital role that bystanders have in stopping bullying, including the duty to help those who are being bullied. Number three, to not participate in bullying. Number four, to report bullying when it occurs every single time. Number five, include students who may otherwise be targeted because they've been excluded from the group. And number six, the curriculum may also encourage students to sign statements of agreement to stop bullying themselves, to create a class pledge that they can recite together. And that repetition helps immensely. As an educator, you know that what kids participate in, they will also remember. So, in addition to creating the pledge, enlist your students in making anti-bullying posters that you can display in the classroom. They love to display things that they've made with their own hands. As you roll out your school program, be sure students understand the process for reporting instances of bullying. When reports come in, take them seriously. Some may not have merit, but you won't know until you investigate. Give each student involved an opportunity to tell his or her version of what happened. Encourage students who have cell phones to record or photograph the bullying they see, and to give evidence to school officials. Offer kids the option to report anonymously. I sincerely thank you for the vitally important role you play in protecting and, most importantly, educating our students, and in training them to be compassionate guardians of the most vulnerable among them. I'm reminded of Genesis chapter 4, when God said to Cain, "Where is your brother?" Cain replies with what has become one of the most famous statements in the entire Bible, "Am I my brother's keeper?" The students in your class can learn to become empowered bystanders, the keepers, the brother's keepers of their fellow classmates. As you teach them how, you'll be making an immense difference in the lives of students for generations to come. How we thank you for that.